Hey everybody, my name is Michael Bogus. Today I'm going to be talking about how the Hershey Chocolate Company tried to implement an accounting information system that inevitably was going to fail. I'm going to start my introduction off by giving a few key definitions in order for you to understand this topic. I'm then going to give some reasons as to why Hershey's decided that they needed to implement this system, and then describe what the time was around whenever they were trying to implement this system. So as I said, I'm doing my presentation on the Hershey Chocolate Company. Hershey's is a public company. They are a company in the food processing industry. They were founded 125 years ago, February 9th, 1849. The Hershey's Chocolate Company deals in processing orders, so whenever they get orders from another company, then they eventually ship it out to fulfill that order. The type of accounting information system they wanted to implement was an Enterprise Resource Planning System, or an ERP. An ERP is a client-server application that helps you to keep your business in order. Now, an ERP application requires a long useful life in order for this system to obtain optimal performance. There are a few goals that a company is trying to achieve whenever they implement an ERP system. They are trying to simplify their business strategy, which in turn will ensure that their business strategy is efficient. They are also seeking to define a clear information system environment so that things will continue to be efficient after it is implemented. There are many reasons that an ERP system can fail for a business. Some of the generic ones are they don't allow enough time in order to roll out the system. They also have poor planning whenever trying to implement it. Many executives lack adequate knowledge in order to oversee the implementation of an ERP system. And there are many miscommunications between the client and the developer. So the company that is implementing the system and the company that is receiving the system have many miscommunications. So Hershey's was trying to implement their ERP system around the late 1990s. This is important because many companies had what people were calling the Y2K bug. Many businesses thought that their information systems were going to fail before the year 2000 came around. The time frame of Hershey's releasing the ERP system was also during their highest sell and distribution time of the year for chocolates. So as Hershey started to install their new system, there were many problems involved in the installation. There were many changes made to the release of the system because they were worried about it not coming out before the year 2000. This is what I referred to earlier, the Y2K bug. The executives worried about this bug eventually shortened the release schedule from 48 weeks to 30 weeks, causing them to lose 18 weeks of preparation and time to train their employees. Many of the installation problems came from the high-up executives who were overseeing the installation. Many of them were not technologically savvy, so they lacked the experience to oversee the implementation of this new technology because they just didn't understand it. Because of this misunderstanding, many of the executives had differing opinions on how it should be released and what should be entailed in the new system. The executives weren't the only problem with the implementation of the new system. The employees also played a big part. They showed a large amount of resistance to the new system. The new ERP was actually 3 systems rolled together into one, causing the time for the employees to get trained to increase dramatically. While this was happening, it was during the holiday season, as I said earlier, the peak time of the year for the company, so the employees had to keep up with processing orders as well as learning how to use the 3 new systems. Now, why did Hershey even need this new system? As I said earlier, they were working with an old legacy system that had embedded microprocessors in it with limited date ranges. The executives of the company believed that the microprocessors would not be able to handle the change from 1999 to 2000 and that they would start to record the data incorrectly. The executives believed that this failure was inevitable. Now, because of Hershey's believed need for this new system, the implementation of the system had to be accelerated. This caused many departments to snowball downhill as they were losing traction. Key factors were being ignored, such as time required to train employees with the new system, revisions of the distribution center, and the scheduling of the release of the ERP. Beside the reason for the ERP system to be rushed out before Y2K, Hershey had other motivations for implementing it. They wanted to share data about product delivery in order to have a better relationship with their retailing partners. They also believed that this new system, by providing this information, would help them to keep optimum inventory levels, while also reducing the cost. Executives also believed that this new system would give them a competitive edge over their competitors. They believed that they needed to revolutionize their business with the coming of the new millennium. By improving outdated business functionalities through this new system, they thought that it would help to ensure that they would stay on top of their industry. industry. So now that we know the time frame and the reasons why Hershey wanted to implement this new system, we can talk about why it failed. First, there was a lack of coordination and communication. This lack was seen between technical personnel and operations personnel. The employees and operations at Hershey's were not adequately talking with the technical professionals who were implementing this system from the company that they chose. There were also miscommunications between employees, management, and retailers. Because of all of the miscommunications, there was a lot of inaccuracy in their system. Another reason that this system failed was because of a lack of real reason. The executives made this plan from a place of emotional distress. They had the Y2K bug and were worried that their current systems would not be able to handle the new information. These executives acted impulsively. They got scared about the new millennium and they made decisions without planning or hypothesizing any options. Now, what was the impact on the company after the failure? One way we can see the impact is through their sales. They lost a total of $150 million in sales because they were not able to roll the system out on time. That's a lot of money that was just burned away. Another part of the company that took a hit from this failure was the loss of their reputation as the chocolate giant. Once the news of the failure of the system made it to the headlines, their stock dropped by 8% in one day. As you can see, there are lasting impacts on Hershey's Chocolate Company because of their failure to implement and plan their information system in a proper manner. In conclusion, ERP can be very beneficial for a company, but it comes at a hefty cost if you do not plan and manage your time efficiently. It requires a massive amount of time to implement. As we saw with Hershey's, they tried to rush the system out and it brought them down. All of this was because Hershey was trying to gain an advantage. They sacrificed the required testing time in order to obtain this. They wanted so desperately to stay ahead of their competitors that it brought themselves down. They even went as far as to sacrifice profit for efficiency in the future. Efficiency is an important thing to achieve in a company, but if you're losing money in the process of obtaining that efficiency, it is not worth it. Companies have to know when an investment is lost. If it's costing them too much money, then they have to leave it behind. I want to thank you for listening to the research that I did over Hershey's Chocolate Company and hope that you've learned something about proper planning in a business environment. Thank you again, and I'll see you guys in class.